Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, if you're anywhere near global trade, you know it's this intricate dance moving goods across borders.
It really is. Complex stuff.
So the big question we're tackling today is,
Yeah.
how do businesses make sure that dance goes smoothly? No drop partners, no missteps.
Yeah, how do you choreograph that?
Well, our sources are really pointing towards international commercial terms, or Incoterms, as the playbook, the essential guide.
Absolutely.
So this deep dive, it's all about pulling out the key nuggets from the materials you've shared about these terms, especially the latest updates.
And they solve a fundamental problem, right?
Exactly. They cut through the fog, the ambiguity around common international trade terms.
Which can be a real minefield otherwise.
Totally. And they've been around a while. The International Chamber of Commerce, the ICC, they started publishing them way back in 1936.
And crucially, they keep them updated, reflecting how trade changes.
Right. The latest version is Incoterms 2020, and this is key. Our sources stress you really need to specify Incoterms 2020 in your contracts.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah, it helps avoid disputes. I mean, technically, older versions can be used if everyone agrees, but sticking to 2020 is just much clearer.
And that clarity, well, that's exactly why these terms matter so much for you, the listener. Whether you're prepping for a trade deal, maybe just getting up to speed on supply chains.
Or even just curious how stuff gets around the world.
Exactly. Because Incoterms define precisely who's responsible for the goods.
When, right, at what point?
At specific points, yes. Who controls them, who insures them, who handles export or import clearance, even down to packing requirements sometimes.
It just cuts through all that complexity and logistics.
It brings real precision. Imagine the alternative.
Oh, chaos. Total chaos.
Yeah.
If every single shipment needed a custom agreement on who pays for the insurance or the customs duties or even just the truck to the port.
It would grind everything to a halt.
So Incoterms, especially these 2020 updates, our sources highlight, they're kind of the unsung heroes bringing order.
That's a good way to put it.
And they do it pretty neatly by splitting responsibilities into two main classes, which gives us a nice structure to follow here.
Exactly. So the first class is called Rules for Use in relation to any mode or modes of transport.
Okay, sounds pretty broad.
It is. These terms are super versatile. You can use them even if ships are only, say, part of the journey or not involved at all, multimodal stuff.
Gotcha. And what terms fall into this category?
Well, there are 7. You've got EXW, that's Ex-Works.
Where the seller basically just makes it available at their place, right?
Right.
Minimal seller responsibility.
Exactly. Then SEA, Free Carrier. CPT, Carriage Paid To. CIP, Carriage and Insurance Paid To.
Okay.
Then DAP, Delivered at Place. DPU, Delivered at Place Unloaded. And finally, DDP, Delivered Duty Paid.
DDP being the other extreme where the seller handles almost everything.
Pretty much. But, one of the really significant changes here in 2020 was DPU, Delivered at Place Unloaded. That one replaced an older term, DAT.
Ah, DPU replacing DT. That sounds subtle.
Yeah.
Why did change? What did that actually mean for businesses using these?
Yeah, it seems subtle, but it's actually quite important. Moving from DAT, Delivered at Terminal, to DPU, Delivered at Place Unloaded, it's more than just words.
How so?
Well, it acknowledges how modern logistics really work. Goods aren't always just dropped at a port or a rail terminal anymore.
Right, they might go straight to a specific warehouse or a factory.
Precisely. Directly to a specific spot, maybe a designated receiving area that's not a traditional terminal. So DPU explicitly supports these, complex last-mile deliveries.
Makes sense. Simplifies things for different logistics setups.
It does, and it also clarifies a key difference from DIP. Remember DIP, Delivered at Place. Under DIP, the seller delivers but does not unload. Under DPU, the seller is responsible for unloading at that specific destination point.
Ah, okay. That's a clear distinction. Useful.
Very. And this class also formally recognizes arrangements where buyers or sellers might use their own transport for part of the journey, like under FCA, DIP, DPU, and DDP.
Which happens more often now, right?
Yeah.
Big companies managing their own logistics.
Exactly. It's a nod to that reality.
Okay, so that first class covers a lot of ground. Super versatile for almost any transport mix. But what if your whole operation really hinges on sea freight, traditional shipping?
Right. Well, that brings us to the second class. These are the rules for maritime transport only.
Okay, much more specific then.
Yes, strictly for situations where both the delivery point and the place the goods are carried to are ports. Think traditional ocean freight.
And what are the terms here?
There are 4 main ones. FAS, which is free alongside ship.
So delivered to the dock, basically.
Essentially, yes. Then FOB, free on board. That's a very common one.
Onto the vessel.
Correct. Then CFR, cost and freight. And finally, CIF, cost, insurance, and freight.
Okay. And were there any major tweaks within this group in 2020?
One important refinement was actually aligning the levels of insurance cover required, specifically under CIF and CIP. CIP is in the first group, but often used with containerized sea freight, too.
Aligning insurance, what does that mean practically?
It means providing more consistent expectations about the level of insurance the seller has to provide, reducing potential disputes about whether minimum cover is enough, particularly for manufactured goods under CIP. So, more clarity on risk mitigation.
Got it. So lots of precision for different transport modes. But you mentioned earlier, and our sources highlight this too, that Incoterms 2020 aren't just about the terms themselves anymore. Their reach is broader.
That's right. And this is a really critical update, actually. Incoterms 2020 can now be used for domestic trade as well as international trade.
Oh, wow. That's a big shift. So not just cross-border.
Exactly. Previous versions were pretty much focused only on international sales contracts. Now, if you're a business operating just within one country, but you have, say, complex logistics between different points,
you can use Incoterms for that clarity too.
You absolutely can. It offers the same standard definitions for risk and responsibility, even if there are no borders involved. And the rules also clarify something important. The obligation to deal with export and import formalities, like customs, well, that only exists where it's actually applicable.
Naturally. Doesn't apply if it's a domestic shipment.
Right. It acknowledges that context matters.
It really sounds like these updates are trying hard to reflect, the real world, the complexities we actually face today. How much of this is driven by things like, say, global security concerns?
Oh, significantly. You can definitely see that influence.
Yeah. How so?
Well, look, with global uncertainties, heightened security needs, think about terrorism concerns, increased cargo screening. Many countries have beefed up security checks.
You're right, you hear about that all the time. Delays at ports, extra checks.
Exactly. So Incoterms 2020 directly address this. They now clearly state that both sellers and buyers have obligations to provide each other with enough information needed for export and import clearance.
So it's more formalized, sharing security-related data.
Yes. There are clearer, more detailed security obligations related to carriage and clearance embedded within each Incoterm rule itself.
And for a business owner, what's the practical impact? Less hassle at the border.
Hopefully, yes. It means a more structured process for sharing the necessary data. The aim is to keep goods moving smoothly, without those unexpected, costly security delays. It's a very real-world, practical update.
Makes sense. And beyond security, it looks like there's also a definite push towards acknowledging digitalization, right? How trade actually happens now.
Absolutely. That's another key evolution. The rules now formally state that communications can be paper-based or use an equivalent electronic record or procedure.
Equivalent electronic record. Okay.
And crucially, they add the condition where agreed or customary.
Ah, customary. That sounds important.
It is, because including customary is a clear signal. It recognizes and validates the fact that using digital methods, electronic documents, electronic procedures, that's just normal practice in much of trade today.
So the rules are catching up with reality.
Exactly. It ensures Incoterms remain relevant in our increasingly paperless world. It acknowledges that e-documents are often the standard now.
So wrapping this up then, what does this all really mean for you, listening in?
Well, I think it boils down to this.
Incoterms, they really are a core piece of international contracts. And now domestic ones too, potentially. They're like the universal language of trade, aren't they?
They really are. They provide that crucial clarity.
Yeah, cutting down on disputes, misunderstandings, and they're clearly adapting to modern challenges like security, like digitalization.
Definitely keeping pace.
So these updated rules, Incoterms 2020, they seem absolutely essential for anyone navigating commerce today, whether that's, shipping something down the street or clear across an ocean.
Which leads to, I think, a really interesting final thought for you to ponder.
Go on.
Well, in this world that's constantly striving for more efficiency, more clarity, how does a framework like Incoterms 2020, which is itself always evolving, how does it not only simplify these really complex global deals, but also, perhaps more subtly, how does it actually shape the physical flow and even the security of goods, both across borders and now even within nations?
That's interesting. Like the rules themselves influence how things move.
Exactly. It's worth thinking about those wider ripple effects, the implications of having such precise legal frameworks operating within our deeply interconnected global economy. How much do they dictate the pathways?